So while they're putting it up, maybe just to start off, I'm Andre. Aeris Resources is a ASX-listed company. We came in as a new management team 5 years ago to look at how do we fix up the company who was then named Straits Resources. So this is old Straits Resources, renamed and restructured over a 5-year period. Just a sort of snapshot, as I said, 5 years ago, we changed management. We became involved at the time as a new team. We had 136 million US in debt, 2 operating mines. One was a gold mine in Indonesia, a copper mine in New South Wales, and both those mines were losing money, and there was a call for change. I'll skip 5 years later. In that process, we restructured that debt from 136 to 49 million US, and all of that through the bank taking big discounts. We increased the copper production at the copper mine, and we removed and closed non-core assets. The gold mine in Indonesia, we quickly realized in 2013 that it's not going to work, and we basically went to creditors and said, "These are keys, you can have it for a clean exit," which we managed to do. So 5 years later, in February, we closed the last deal. At least now we're in a position where the balance sheet is looking significantly better, the share register looks significantly better, and we're now in a position to how do we grow this business, which we always said we want to grow it beyond the current asset by bringing more assets in. There's just a bit of the structure. The key numbers on there, the current market cap is $59 million. Over the last 9 months, the share price has gone up from 4 cents to 17 cents, and that was on the back of the restructure plus an exploration asset, which we'll talk a little about more. The net debt position, as you can see there, 30 million US. Small board, the management team, Rob and Ian, we've been working together for quite a while in previous companies as well. So the core assets left in the business, we got the Tritton mine, doing 27,000 tons of copper this year. It's a very highly prospective exploration package, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown on that. The very interesting bit is the Torrens project. That project has been in the courts for over 10 years, and in February we got final approval to start drilling that asset. It's in the right location, it's close to Olympic Dam, close to Karapatina, in an IOCG area, and since that approval, there has been quite a lot more interest in the company from an exploration perspective. Tritton operations, 1,800 square kilometers of ground, 750,000 tons of copper has been identified there and produced in 50% of that tenement, so there's a lot of unknown areas. We have kicked off 2 years ago, or 18 months ago, a new greenfields exploration program, and we are re-looking at the area to see if we can find new copper deposits. Currently mining on that map, the Tritton mine and the Murrawombie underground mine, doing about 1.6 million tons through a process facility. Life of mine, a reserve life of 5 years. Each one of those projects which will be mined in the next 5 years has got upside potential, either at depth or at long strike. So there's highly likely an extension to the 5 years if you can look at the mineral resource of 21 million tons. We will be drilling those and look for the extensions as we mine those and as we go deeper in those projects. That's just a snapshot of Tritton, doing about 1.1 to 1.2 million tons per annum, grades at about 1.7 to 1.8% copper. In the last 4 years, even through the downturn in the copper price, we did spend $10 million on a ventilation shaft to ensure that we're ready to take full advantage of a better copper price. We renewed the fleet, and we will be drilling Tritton at depth to see how far that extends. The Murrawombie underground mine, we started at the same time in 2017. That is now in full production, delivering 400 to 500,000 tons at around 1.5% copper. We were quite surprised. We originally started off to expect 1.3% copper, As we did the grade control drilling, we now recognize that it's actually better grades, and there's high grade zones in between the low grade, and we can mine at 1.5 to 1.6% copper. Process plant, 1.8 million tons. We have got quite a bit of new investments in there. We're putting a new crusher in the next few months. We're replacing the float cells. We have replaced most of it. Once that's done, that plant will be ready to run for quite a while without major capital spend. Exploration, just briefly, as I said earlier, Triton, it's got 1,800 square kilometers of ground. Only 50% of that tenement has produced copper. We are doing a lot of work to define what else is available, and actually also on the brownfield side. I'm going to skip Torrens there because we'll talk a bit more about Torrens in a few slides to come. That's the Triton side. We're very focused on greenfields exploration at this point in time. As you can see there, we are doing a new EM survey. Historically, EMs could only see about 200 meters deep. New technology can see 500 meters deep, and we have identified a few new targets through that process. That is still ongoing, and we'll keep the market up to date. On the brownfields, I'm not going to go into detail, but each one of those projects I spoke about earlier in the reserve has got upside potential, and that would be defined as we mine through those reserves. I'm going to skip that. Just the Torrens project. Now, this has been the one which has been in the courts for a long time. You can see where that sits. That is our project. There's Olympic Dam. There's Karapatina. And for those who don't know, Olympic Dam is a 10 billion ton project, and Karapatina is a 130 million ton project. It's in the IOCG province. It is an IOCG target. We got 70% of that project, and a company, Argonaut, who's also at the conference, has got the other 30%. What is exciting the market is this slide. If you look at the middle, the gravity response for this asset versus on the same scale, what was Olympic Dam on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, you can see Karapatina and Prominent Hill. It is very large, and that has created quite a lot of additional attention and approaches by various parties on this specific project. The plans with this, we have done a gravity survey again. We are planning to do a $15 million drill program starting in August, of which we obviously need to put our 70%, and we're quite confident that once that starts, we'll see some interesting results. There has been some historical holes drilled, 3 holes actually by way back in the 1970s, and one of them intersected low-grade copper, 220 meters at low-grade copper. So it is in the right area. To summarize, we are a producer. We have got a good copper mine generating cash at the current price and current production. We got a balance sheet significantly better. We got a share register which is very supportive of where we want to go. Good exploration upside at 2 different projects, and we are very focused to grow the business through acquisitions or M&A, trying to get more assets, production assets into the business, specifically focus on copper and potentially gold. Now that all of the balance sheet and register is ready, we can now take part in that process to look at how do we grow the business. Thank you very much.